Imagine a city, once vibrant and whole, suddenly cleaved in two, a place where bustling streets and lively neighborhoods were abruptly divided by an imposing wall, families separated, friendships severed, a concrete barrier cutting through the heart of a community. Loved ones could only wave from a distance, their voices drowned by the silence of separation. This was the stark reality of Berlin after 1961, when the Berlin Wall, a potent symbol of Cold War division, was erected. The construction of the wall was swift and ruthless, transforming the city overnight. The Cold War, a geopolitical standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union, cast a long shadow over the world. It was a time of intense rivalry, where every action was scrutinized and every move could tip the balance of power. It was a clash of ideologies, of capitalism versus communism, of freedom versus control. The world watched as these two superpowers vied for dominance, each promoting their vision of the future. Berlin, geographically nestled within communist East Germany, became a microcosm of this global struggle. The city was a focal point, a place where the broader conflict between East and West played out in stark relief. On one side stood West Berlin, a beacon of democracy and opportunity, protected by the Western Allies. It was a place where freedom flourished, and the promise of a better life was within reach. On the other, East Berlin, under the control of the Communist German Democratic Republic, where freedom of movement and expression were severely restricted. Life in East Berlin was marked by surveillance and control, a stark contrast to the freedoms enjoyed in the West. The Berlin Wall, patrolled by armed guards, became a physical manifestation of this ideological divide. Guard towers loomed over the wall, and the threat of violence was ever present for those who dared to challenge the barrier. For nearly 3 decades, the wall stood as a stark reminder of the human cost of division. It was not just a barrier of concrete and steel, but a symbol of the broader conflict that gripped the world. It represented a world on the brink, a world where families were kept apart, and the desire for freedom was met with concrete and barbed wire. The Berlin Wall was a testament to the lengths to which governments would go to maintain control, and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of such adversity. By the 1980s, however, the seemingly impenetrable facade of the Eastern Bloc began to show cracks. The once rigid and unyielding structure of communist rule started to waver under the weight of its own inefficiencies and the growing unrest among its citizens. Economic stagnation, political repression, and a yearning for freedom fueled a growing discontent among the people. The daily struggles of life under a repressive regime became increasingly unbearable, as shortages of basic goods and services highlighted the system's failures. The winds of change, already swirling through Poland and Hungary, soon reached the German Democratic Republic. Inspired by the courage and determination of their neighbors, East Germans began to voice their own demands for reform and liberty. Mikhail Gorbachev's rise to power in the Soviet Union in 1985 ushered in an era of reform known as perestroika and glasnost. These policies aimed to revitalize the Soviet economy and promote greater transparency within the government. His policies, aimed at restructuring the Soviet economy and increasing openness, had unintended consequences, loosening the grip of communist control not just within the Soviet Union but across its satellite states as well. The ripple effects of these reforms were felt far and wide, emboldening movements for change throughout Eastern Europe. In 1989, a series of peaceful revolutions swept across Eastern Europe. From Poland to Hungary, Czechoslovakia to Romania, the call for freedom and democracy grew louder and more insistent. People took to the streets demanding freedom and democracy. The collective voice of the oppressed became a powerful force, one that could no longer be ignored by the ruling regimes. The once unthinkable now seemed within reach. The Iron Curtain, that metaphorical barrier dividing East and West, was beginning to crumble. The fall of the Berlin Wall symbolized not just the end of a physical divide, but the dawn of a new era of hope and possibility for millions. In East Germany, protests against the communist regime intensified. The streets were filled with people demanding change, their voices echoing through the cities. The air was thick with tension and the hope for a better future. Thousands of East Germans, desperate for freedom and opportunity, fled to the west through Hungary, which had opened its border with Austria. Families were torn apart, and many risked their lives for the chance to escape the oppressive regime. The pressure on the East German government to act was immense. The leadership was in turmoil. struggling to maintain control as the people's demands grew louder and more insistent. On November 9, 1989, Günter Schabowski, the party boss of East Berlin, made a surprise announcement during a live televised press conference. His words would change the course of history. He announced new regulations that would allow East Germans to cross into West Berlin, effective immediately. The announcement was unexpected and caught everyone off guard, including the border guards. Confusion reigned. Was this a mistake? Was it real? People were unsure if they could trust the news, but the possibility of freedom was too enticing to ignore. As the news spread like wildfire, thousands of East Berliners flocked to the border crossings, demanding to be let through. The crowds grew larger by the minute, their determination unwavering. Overwhelmed and unprepared, the border guards, after hours of standoff, finally relented, opening the gates to a flood of jubilant East Berliners. The wall that had divided them for so long was finally beginning to crumble, and with it, the barriers that had kept them apart. The scenes that unfolded that night were nothing short of euphoric. East and West Berliners, separated for decades, embraced in tears and laughter. Champagne flowed, strangers danced together, and the sound of hammers and chisels filled the air as people chipped away at the wall, piece by piece. The fall of the Berlin Wall was not just a political event, it was a profoundly human one. It was a testament to the power of the human spirit, the yearning for freedom, and the belief that even the most formidable barriers can be overcome. Section 5. A domino effect: communism crumbles in Eastern Europe. The fall of the Berlin Wall had seismic repercussions, not just for Germany, but for the entire world. It marked a turning point in the Cold War, signaling the imminent collapse of communism in Eastern Europe. One by one, communist regimes across the region fell like dominoes. Within a year of the Berlin Wall's opening, Germany was reunified, the Soviet Union dissolved, and the Cold War, which had gripped the world in a perpetual state of tension for nearly half a century, came to an end. Section 6. The fall of the Soviet Union, the end of an era. The dismantling of the Berlin Wall exposed the fragility and ultimate unsustainability of the Soviet system. The Soviet Union, already grappling with economic stagnation and internal dissent, could not withstand the tide of change sweeping across Eastern Europe. On December 26, 1991, the Soviet Union officially dissolved, marking the end of an era. The Cold War was over, and a new world order was emerging, one defined not by ideological confrontation, but by the promise of cooperation and integration. Section 7. A new Europe emerges. Reunification and Integration. The fall of the Berlin Wall paved the way for a new era of cooperation and integration in Europe. Germany, once divided, was reunified on October 3, 1990, a testament to the power of unity and reconciliation. The European Union expanded eastward, welcoming former communist countries into its fold. Trade barriers were lifted, borders became more fluid, and the dream of a united and prosperous Europe seemed closer than ever before. The fall of the Berlin Wall holds profound lessons for humanity. It reminds us of the enduring power of hope, the importance of freedom and human dignity, and the dangers of division and oppression. The Berlin Wall Memorial, a poignant reminder of the past, stands as a testament to the human cost of division. It serves as a warning to future generations, urging us to never forget the lessons learned from the Cold War. The fall of the Berlin Wall was not just a historical event, it was a deeply personal one for millions of people whose lives were directly affected by the wall's presence. Hearing their stories brings to life the human impact of the Cold War and the profound sense of joy and relief that accompanied the wall's demise. There are stories of families separated for decades, reunited at last, of young lovers who risked their lives to be together, and of ordinary citizens who, through their courage and determination, helped to bring down one of the most potent symbols of oppression in modern history. The Berlin Wall has become an enduring symbol in popular culture, representing both the oppression of the Cold War and the triumphant spirit of freedom that ultimately prevailed. From films to music to literature, the wall has served as a powerful metaphor for the human struggle against tyranny and the enduring desire for liberty. Pink Floyd's iconic concert in Berlin in 1990, featuring a performance of The Wall against the backdrop of the crumbling barrier, stands as a testament to the power of music to transcend political divisions and inspire hope. The fall of the Berlin Wall stands as a testament to the enduring power of hope and the indomitable spirit of those who dare to dream of a better world. It reminds us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can prevail, and that even the most seemingly insurmountable barriers can be overcome. The legacy of the Berlin Wall continues to inspire us today, urging us to strive for a world without walls, a world where freedom, justice, and human dignity are paramount. It is a legacy that belongs not just to the people of Berlin, but to all who cherish liberty and believe in the power of the human spirit to overcome even the most daunting of challenges.